Hey guys, welcome to Bipolar Boxing. This Saturday night, we got Luis Alberto Lopez defending his 126-pound IBF title against Angelo Leo. Fight's going to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is Leo's place where he was born. I believe he lives in Vegas now, but he should have more fans there if that means anything to anyone. But this is a really good fight on paper, and to start off with Angelo Leo. I love fighters from Albuquerque, New Mexico. My favorite fighter ever was Johnny Tapia from Albuquerque. Those wars that he had with Danny Ramiro and just escaped my name, but he had two trilogies back in the day, and he's my favorite fighter, and he's from Albuquerque. So I got a soft place in my heart for any fighter from Albuquerque. And Leo's definitely a solid fighter. He's a very exciting fighter to watch. He can do a little bit of everything. His last fight, I was surprised it was against Eduardo Baez. I think it was on Pro Box. Shout out to Pro Box. They've been putting on good fights for the last couple of months. And Angelo Leo was in there, and he stood his ground with Baez, and he stood in there and swung with him, and he kind of dominated Baez. It was a kind of a competitive fight, but just about every round it seemed that Leo edged it. And he did it just standing in there and fighting the old Mexican way. And it's probably what he's going to do in this fight as well, which just makes for an entertaining fight. It's just, I wasn't a big fan of Venado Lopez before he fought. When I saw him fight Gabriel Flores, I was big on Flores just because he was a big prospect from Top Rank. And I thought he was coming up right. I just think they made a terrible decision throwing him in there against Venado Lopez. But having not seen Venado Lopez, the first round or two in that fight, I was like, this guy doesn't know how to throw a punch. Flores is going to get him out of there in like 3, 4 rounds. And next thing you know, Flores' ass is on the canvas, and that fight was over. And he just dismantled Gabe Flores, and he's been doing it ever since. Josh Warrington is a fight that everybody brings up. Michael Conlon, but people don't bring up like they flew him over to UK and fought Isaac Lowe on, I believe it was the Tyson Fury Dillian White undercard or something like that. But they flew him out there to fight on a Fury undercard for Isaac Lowe to fight when Isaac Lowe was undefeated. I mean, what a terrible decision that was because Venado smoked him too. But I'm just trying to make the point that he goes into people's backyards and he wins fights. And he's going into Albuquerque this fight. And Leo doesn't live in Albuquerque, but that's where he's from. So he's technically going in the guy's backyard. But I think there's going to be a lot of Mexicans there. They're going to be rooting for Venado too. And what can you say about Venado's style? There's nobody else in boxing. I don't know if there's many people in the history of boxing. I've been watching boxing for about 30 years now strong, and there's no guy that I've ever seen like him that's at that level. I've seen guys like him, I guess if you want to, like awkward styles, like back in the day, like Manny Burton, very awkward style, but Manny Burton didn't win a lot of fights. He was competitive. He was kind of an overachiever in a lot of his fights. And that's kind of what Venado Lopez is. He's an overachiever to me. It just seems like this guy is in phenomenal shape all the time. He's a little rough around the edges because he took up boxing at a late age, but I believe he was a soccer player before, so he's got great footwork. And I don't take those two losses that he had in his career for anything. They don't mean anything to me. I consider Luis Alberto Lopez to be an undefeated fighter pretty much at this point, just because of what he's done in the last 4 or 5 years. Out of, let's say he had 10 fights in 5 years, 8 of them are names that if you pay attention to boxing, you know. But his style has grown on me. He's one of my favorite fighters. I went to see his last fight against the Japanese guy, Abe, and BoxRec had that guy ranked as number 4th in the division. They had him ranked over Ray Ford and everything like that. He was a tall, lanky guy. He was supposed to be hard to hit, but you just can't stop that pressure that Venado has. So running away and trying to outpoint him, you're probably not going to be able to do that because it's hard to win rounds against a guy who just comes forward with his hands down. And even when you land on him, because he's coming forward, the punches don't look like much. But his punches, because he's swinging from the hips, and you're usually going backwards, they look very flashy. So it's easy for him to win rounds. He's got knockout power. He could just do it. He could do it all. I mean, the only I don't see him fight on the back foot too often, but I don't think he's going to have to do that here. But I mean, Angelo Leo can do it all. He can box on the back foot and dance around, and if he tries to do that here, I think eventually he's going to get thrown into a firefight. So it's just going to be a matter of when that firefight starts, and that's going to be according to Angelo Leo. Whatever he decides to fight, Venato will adapt to it. But I think this is going to be a firefight from the get go. I think Angelo Leo is going to try and center himself in the center of the ring. He's going to try and counter Venato when Venato comes in with those long looping punches. He's got a lot of defensive holes. I read an article on Boxing Scene earlier this week, and Angelo Leo said the guy's got a lot of defensive holes in his game, and he's right. The thing is, I mean, his chin seems to be awesome too, along with everything else. He took a lot of good punches from Josh Warrington. He took some from Mickey Conlan. Mickey Conlan's not the biggest puncher, but neither is Angelo Leo, especially with Angelo Leo doing all that damage at 122, coming up to 126. We don't know how any of that's going to carry. He's going to be probably the faster guy out there, that's the chance that he's going to have is in his counter punching because Venato does miss a lot of times when he swings. He just throws so much, you kind of forget about the misses. And if he misses 5 times, it doesn't matter because when he lands one in those combinations, because he will throw 5 punch combinations, when he lands one, it just looks so good. It's hard for you to win those little moments inside of a round. So it's going to be very difficult for you to outpoint a guy like Venato, and good luck knocking the guy out. So my prediction for this fight, I got to go with Venato Lopez. I mean, and I got to think he knocks Leo out just because of the way that I think Leo will fight, which is, like I said, he'll stand his ground and he will try to swing. He's just going to get caught too much. Venato is a very, very good body puncher. I would not be surprised at all if he knocks him out with a left hook to the body, a lead left hook to the body, because Venato, he doesn't start with a jab and throw combinations off the jab. He doesn't set anything up. He will lead with a left hook or a screw punch uppercut or something like that. Stuff that you just don't see guys do. He will do it, but I think he's just going to catch Leo too much. I think Leo coming up in weight, that doesn't work in his favor. So just give me Venato Lopez to knock him out. And I'm going to say late. I'm going to say like round 11 or so. If not, I think it'll be a pretty decisive win for Lopez. Maybe, maybe 8 rounds to 4 or something like that for Lopez. But even the rounds that you give to Leo, you might just have to give him a few rounds in there. But I don't think he'll decisively beat Venato Lopez in any round, to be honest. He might do okay in certain times, but it's just like I can't see Venato not doing much in any round just because his stamina seems to be there. Granite chin. He's got great offense. I mean, he's like a perfect fighter just because he's a fan favorite guy too. And down in those weight classes, pretty much everybody's got stamina. Everybody can sit there and bang because they're not worried about getting knocked out. Venato will knock you out. And I just think it's a recipe for disaster for Leo. He's a great fighter. He's a former world champion, and his only loss is to Stephen Fulton, and Stephen Fulton's a completely different fighter than Venato. But yeah, just give me Venato here, late stoppage. But I think it'll be a good fight. Angelo Leo will have his moments, but I just think Venato knocks him out. Let me know what you guys think, who you think's going to win, and who you think Venato should fight next if he wins. I would love to see, I think it's the best fight in all of boxing, is Luis Alberto Lopez and Nick Ball. Give me that goddamn fight, please. Put it on a turkey a la sheet undercard something like that. But give me that fight. I think it's the most exciting fight in all of boxing to be made, and I don't know who I would pick to win that fight. But you guys enjoy the fights and have a good night.